Okay, we'll be starting in 1 minute. So, yeah, I see the names are also.
Okay, it looks like we're live.
Yes, we are live. For those of us
Okay.
who are, yes, welcome everybody. Despite the names you might see on the bottom, those are different than our actual names. So I'll start with me. I'm Dr. Rena Walsinger, the Chief Learning Officer here at EON Reality.
And I'm John Green. I'm Director of XR Experiences. It's great to be here on this webinar focusing on the EON Metaverse Builder. And this is a weekly webinar, and we're going to dive into some exciting topics related to the Metaverse Builder, specifically regarding environments.
Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about environments and what that's all about. In the history of kind of AR, VR, I think it's kind of interesting maybe even to go back a little bit and just think about before we could do all this in goggles and glasses and phones and your computer. There were rooms, and you can project all of these 3D images in a room, and kind of the room kind of encased your environment and whatever the cameras can show. And so now we have to think a little bit differently about AR, VR, because you can bring in a model in VR and have a background, whether it's an environment or just a color or just a plain background, or AR, where you actually see right through your device if you're using a phone or a tablet, or certain goggles that do AR. So you see whatever is behind you, which is one of the reasons I like to take students outside and do these things outside, like, for example, in a park, because you can go really big on the scale, and it looks it's very good for student engagement. I can say that. And now we're getting to the point where we have faster graphics. You can bring in things right away, where we can bring in entire environments and then add models to that. So this is the new evolution of environments and AR, VR for EON Reality. And so that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So, but John,
yeah, and we're going to give lots of examples here and how you can select an environment and keep building in that scene. That's what's so great about this EON Metaverse Builder. You can not only set one environment, but then we can keep adding assets related to that environment and pretty much custom make that scene in getting ready to teach your content that you're looking to show your learners. Again, it's just a highly collaborative environment, very engaging. Learners can do it at home. Like Rena said, you can do it outside as a group or individually. So we're going to be diving in here and showing you several examples.
Absolutely. One of the things before we get started with examples is that, I've taught for my whole career in some kind of lab. Usually it's a film editing studio with a lot of computers, green screens, and so forth, or an audio studio, which is very specific as far as the control room and the recording space, sound panels, a lot of microphones for recording video, and there are also lights and cameras. And so for teachers like me, it's kind of takes that paradigm away of how would I use an environment? Well, I teach in an environment, so I know exactly what I would want to bring in and what components would be in that lab. And I'm sure a lot of you do that as well. I can think of teaching, chemistry and physics, biology. Those of you who teach in labs or certain types of settings, theater. Those of you who teach museum arts. I mean, there's just so many examples. So we'll be going through some of those today.
All right. So should we screen share? And
let's do it.
Okay. So I'll just turn on the screen share and just draw your attention to the main library area. So this is the XR library, where it's a sample library showing you assets, lessons in various categories. And we do have this section called environments. And again, just showing you what is possible, looking at different environments, such as a classroom, a auditorium, we have office space, electrical room. So just imagine putting yourself in these different scenarios or having your learners go into these scenarios and build out their environment. So this is one way to get started, looking into your library, see what you currently have. And we've always said, again, going into Sketchfab and looking at specific assets. I just came in here, typed in warehouse, and just looked at so many different types of environments that I could quickly download and upload to the EON platform.
Right. I mean, there's literally hundreds of environments. I remember when I first started doing this, we do work with a lot of architectural schools, and just the choices in this one area we found in 3D homes. There's just in that one artist, there's hundreds of assets that are free to download. So it's pretty limitless. The other thing is, the environments come with their own things in there. So most of the time you can move things around, either whether you're on your phone or something like an Oculus. You can scale these things. So sometimes like an entire home, if you go outside and then you can scale it 1-to-1, you can see it's as large as any other home. And so that's something that environments bring, is just that scale where you can study the interior, you can go in the exterior, you can go in the interior of these. So the thumbnails are a bit deceiving because they can't show you the depth of information within these models. They're pretty amazing, and you can just walk around there, even if there's several stories. That's an interesting thing I learned doing this is if I cast this in my house, for example, and it's 2 stories, I can actually, in my own home, walk up the stairs and get to the 2nd story of these models.
Yeah. You can actually place yourself where you want to be, which level, move yourself up or down. And we'll show you, give you some tips on as you're building your metaverse experiences, how you can place that asset in just the right location. So that I'll dive into some examples with the Metaverse Builder. So I have my tablet here, and I'm going to that create button and just walk you through the initial steps in terms of selecting an environment, selecting an asset, and building out your environment. So as you know, when you tap on that Metaverse Builder, it'll activate your AR mode camera. And now you can simply tap on that icon right in the middle. And I'm going to use my screen here to type in the keyword that I'm searching. So I'm just going to say trade show. Or I can use that voice command. It'll pick up my voice. And I'm going to select this trade show booth right over here. Click next. Place it down on the ground, and that will go through that downloading process. And as I'm going to show you shortly, you can repeat this and place this anywhere in the environment. So this is great about environments. I can make it smaller if I do want a small scale environment, or I can make it much bigger, size it, place it down, and you can see how that would affect the experience. It's as if I'm in that trade show environment. And then we can keep building, and I can say specific keywords. I'm going to type my words in here. I'm going to say, maybe this is a tech trade show booth, and I want to bring in my tech equipment. And this is great about business environments, and showing that the possibilities of bringing in assets. Maybe an assignment would be to have your students prepare a booth with equipment that they will present to prospects or at a trade show booth. And what do you think about this experience, Rena, about designing a trade show environment?
So it solves one of the problems, especially online, with teaching subjects such as business, marketing, presentation, because you have a chance to talk about, first of all, there's marketing and display. I mean, that's a whole field, but there's also presentation, reflection, and communication, soft skills. All of those things can be done in this environment. And we can even meet in this space as avatars as well and talk to each other. So this is something that, we couldn't really do before, when, especially going online. We went into Zoom and we weren't in these spaces anymore. So now we get right back in these spaces. You can share this with people around the world. You can meet in the space with people around the world. What I like to do in these as well is, after I build them, is invite, like in here, I can invite somebody who does conventions professionally and bring them in, and then have a student work with them to, see how they do doing a business presentation in a booth. So it's a lot of different things that that lets you do, having these environments. So I love this because it's business, and people always think, oh, well, what am I going to do in the metaverse in business? Well, this is an exact thing that you would do in business.
Yeah, and you touch on so many interesting points, and the ability to discuss and talk about a business environment where you would place these objects, and it's a really interactive exercise where here I'm adding a person. So where would I put my the person that's working on this booth? I could put this person, and you can notice what I'm doing here. I can move this within this environment, place that person where they will be able to talk to clients as they pass by the booth, and the various equipments that we're going to show in this booth. And we're talking about strategy. We're talking about product placement. We're talking about interaction, maybe the soft skills. How would you present to a client coming through this booth, and what's the best way? And even here, there's so many possibilities in terms of screen recording, recording your own voice as you talk through this setup, and even make that an assignment for your learners as they build out their booth, present, and talk through the situation. A couple of interesting key tools on the screen as you go across their upper right-hand corner as you're building out this experience. I can tap on that question mark at the very top right. And all at the lower portion of your screen, you're going to see all of your tools. These are the Metaverse Builder tools, where you'll be able to add additional objects. That first one, you can do a voice annotation. That's where you can start tagging these voice annotations, and that will bring in those knowledge portals, video, audio. You can upload documents. I have my AI camera to take a snapshot of this environment. I have the assessment portals. I can add in my quiz. I can have an identify or locate activity. I can build memos. I can do a 3D recording where I will come out as an avatar walking through this environment and talking about the setup. Also, we can do a screen recording. I can record this presentation. All the way to the very far lower left, I have this lock feature where I can lock in this view. And now I can rotate the entire view, and all the individual assets that I just added will not be moving. And I can go ahead and unlock it and select individual components. And once I select that, I can start adding my knowledge portals and content to that area.
So it's really like, if you think about how you build your LMS now in your lessons, where you're going to put text in like I use Canvas mostly. So, I do my text, my video, I record my own lecture material, my PowerPoint. So now this material is right inside of the 3D experience, inside of your environment, so that you don't have to leave. If you don't want to, you can learn all of those things here while you're interacting with the objects and in the environment where the lesson is occurring. Yep. And I think, that's kind of a new concept, because you're not... for instructors out there, you might be doing new content, but you might just be taking your content and updating it into these environments as well.
And I'll show you a quick video on that similar environment as an avatar. Once you select your avatar, you'll be able to move around the space and just talk about your presentation tactics, and maybe explain where you're placing your products and how you're going to present to the clients and prospects that come through your booth. And then adding those knowledge portals that will give you more information about each one of these elements, each one of these assets as you move through, and the amount of learning that takes place once you're adding all these elements. I'm researching, I'm investigating, seeing the right way to present this. I'm having to put into my own words how I would present these tools within this trade show booth.
Fantastic.
So that's an example in the business area. Found really useful.
Fantastic. Well, I'd like to share a couple of things as well. So let's see if I can successfully find my video. Here it is. I just did this like an hour ago. This is one of the ones I really enjoy walking around in, because it just looks so beautiful. This is an airport gate where you can see it's actually in my kitchen. But I placed the airport gate there in my house, and I placed a potential passenger walking towards the gate there to ask questions about the flights. This is a United Airlines gate, and this is my favorite part. I can actually go ahead and walk towards the aircraft over here on the jet bridge. And so I put a passenger there walking on the jet bridge. So actually I'm physically walking through there. In my house, I can walk, or I can actually use my fingers for, we have the accessibility features, turn around, walk back, wrong flight, go back to the, go back into boarding area and recheck my flight. Okay, what did I do wrong here? I got rejected. So that's that experience. And what I did there is I brought in, so all of these things can move. I can move chairs around. I can move the marquees around with the flight information. I can move the ropes around just by grabbing. If I'm doing it on my computer or on my phone, I can touch and grab and move. If I'm doing it in my Oculus, I can use the joysticks to do that as well. And then I can add as many. I can have added a bunch of passengers. I just added a couple just for simplicity's sake, and then I had them do motion. So the button on the left here is the animation, so I can turn on animation on and off. I could have had him walking forward or being in place. A lot of the times in gaming, you have characters do things in place so that they don't leave the screen during that animation that they're doing. So that's just one of the ones I just did today. It was fun.
Yeah, I'm just thinking so many scenario-based trainings in placing clients into a situation where someone did get on the wrong airplane and they have to come back. What happens now? What do you do? And creating an environment where you have to make decisions and present. And so,
yeah, I was thinking about reservations agents. So reservation agents have a lot of soft skills that they have to do constantly. And there's a small group of people that travel a lot, and then a lot of them that don't travel a lot. And then what happens is like, okay, how do they deal with them? How do they make sure like it doesn't get escalated? When do they need to call their supervisor? How do they put them on the other flights? There's so many things that you learn. And that specific scenario, this is the place to teach that for sure in that environment. I wanted to show one more, if that's okay with you, John,
sure.
on
let's go
airplane maintenance that I also did recently, like last week. So this is one of the things I love to do as a workforce professor, is invite a professional in. So this is a TBM aircraft. It's one of the nicest civil aviation aircraft that exists right now. And so we chose this one to do. And aircraft maintenance is common to do civil aviation, and then later on move to commercial. So this is a civil aviation example.
Here we see the Daher TBM 930 single-engine turboprop aircraft. Regular maintenance needs to be performed on this aircraft by certified aviation technicians to keep it in running order. Some of these items include annual inspection, oil changes, and service bulletin compliance or airworthiness directive compliance.
This is the TBM 930. It has a Pratt & Whitney turboprop engine with 850 horsepower, giving it a service ceiling of 31,000 feet of over 1,700 nautical miles.
In 2016, the company launched the improved TBM 930 turboprop aircraft. That same year, the 800th TBM came off the assembly line. Daher Air's aviation activity includes...
You can be doing a screen recording and saving that. We have screen recording right inside the app, which is great. And then over here, just showing like you can add quizzes very quickly. We added a tug there. He wanted to have a tug, which tows the airplane out of the maintenance hangar. So we have a little tug there, showing some of the assessment portals. And then this, I love this, where you just bring the portals right there in 3D. So we can play videos, PDFs, images. You heard my voice. I did a recording from the instructor. So all of those different things can go in there, and they can go on every asset in this experience as well. So that's what I was showing a little bit here. And then X-ray view, which I love on this, because you can see the interior and the seating and where the cockpit is and everything in the wall in front of the cockpit. So that's a little bit about aviation maintenance and an experience that really lends itself to having an environment.
I noticed the avatar that you picked, the presenter picked right there, that looks like a professional in that environment.
Absolutely. And that's one of the great things with our partner, Ready Player Me, is those, those avatars can be anything. I actually, in that case, used the pilot's own image and then built the avatar. It took me, about 2 minutes, and then the avatar was there. So I love using that as well.
Okay, so I'll screen share again. I'll show you a different scenario. And this one it's really interesting because I'm working with multiple environments. We've shown you don't have to stick with one environment. You can pick multiple environments. So this is an area of architecture. And what I did, I picked 2 different environments and just talked about some architectural concepts in this area. So this is an asset of a home on a slope. And so this, in terms of this session, talked about how to build your home on an elevated slope. And here's the avatar walking through the explanation. So this is another presents unique challenges, but also really interesting ways. I can bring in the knowledge portals. Familiarize yourself with this frame, and it show relevant information. You're building a home on a slope, bringing the right relevant content.
Whatever you like, just like any other flooring that they are. They're made here in the mountains. And then over here we have a summer home. You can see this summer home includes a porch with several columns. We talked about how to install, how to design for these columns.
So the compare and contrast possibilities here of having 2 different scenarios, 2 totally different structures. One on a slope. Here you have this porch with these different columns, and just go flipping back and forth from one to another. Bringing up relevant concepts in architecture and design and construction. This adds so many, all in one little environment. I did this in one room. So the options there, I can go out to a field and do this out in the open, or if I just want to do it in my office space or my room, I can do that as well.
This reminds me of something that I know one of my friends does when they design. They just design stuff like this to go in a certain space. So you can actually bring that to the space and see how it fits and see, like, in that space, would you change the design? And I know that's something now with iPads that is possible, where architects design things and bring it to the space to kind of look at how it fits in that environment. And you can do that here with EON, is bring that right to the space where it would possibly be built.
Yep. And then there's me walking inside of the environment. So I can take it from an outside perspective point of view. I can go inside and go upstairs, go downstairs, move around here, and this is a really cool view. So I am pretty much on the top of the porch of that second summer home, looking back to the first asset that's on the hill, on the slope, and I'm walking into different rooms, touring the house and looking at how this is set up. And then I can peek back out the window. And then I look back into that other structure right there. There's that second home on a slope. So just so many interesting possibilities looking at inside interior design, outside design, all with 2 assets that I'm looking at.
I love that.
Yep.
I want to save time to show the hospital and the film set. Do you want to do one?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do it.
All right. Should I share the hospital one maybe?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll do that. So there's 2 things that this one I recorded on my phone, so I can show you how this is going to look. Let's see. Get my phone up here. There we go. On this example, you can see me building this on my phone. It's a whole surgery simulation where you can see I'm actually in my house to start off with. And then I just say the name of the thing that I want, which is an intubation, and I bring it in there. And now I've got an entire surgical suite. And now I'm just adding that knowledge content. Now here, I love this. I can type or say the words. And a lot of times I type to get more specific so that the AI brings up content that I want. For example, I might want a certain type of MRI machine or a certain type of IV pump. So I can really get specific to let the AI find the content that I want. And it comes up there. You saw it took about 5 seconds to bring up the content that I want. And now here it is in the surgical environment. And now I can go teach about an intubation procedure on a pediatric patient. And now I'm putting in content about that ultrasound machine as well. So put in that really fast. Let me skip ahead for a minute. And there's my content. You can see
Today I'm going to go over some of the buttons that I use every single day on these ultrasound machines. But we're just going to go over stuff that I use every single day. Obviously, this button here, the power button to turn it on.
And just a comment as you're showing this, once you get to videos or images, you always can update that keyword search. So if you're on the video section, you're looking for a different type of video, you can just go up there to the top, type in user guide, how to, and that will change that search up a bit if you're looking for additional videos.
Well, this is something I wish I had when I had to learn EKGs for my job in bioengineering, and actual EKG rhythms moving, because that's a much better way to learn about these than a static situation. So that's a little bit about a surgical procedure. And so I thought that was pretty amazing. You can put so much in there. You can meet in there. You can actually even meet with doctors and learn about these things. And I have one more I wanted to share. I think we have a few minutes. So this one is something I only dreamed of doing, especially as we went online, is building a film set. So this film set is kind of like the backlot of Paramount Studios. And I brought in a couple lights, and then I go explain it as a teacher, like what we're doing here. Model of something like a Paramount backlot with an entire city, blocks that you can do set decoration, control the sound, lighting, and the people on the set during the filming. So here I wanted to teach about the Blackmagic camera. I wanted to teach about 3-point lighting. I wanted to teach about the tripod, and then how to properly light the set, which is about a set with a scene with a car and a Lamborghini. And now I can do this right here in the metaverse, where if you can imagine unless you're on, this is a great way to prepare for the set. So you know what to bring, you can plot it all out in 3D. So it's a great way to kind of teach students how to do this. And there's some assessments that I added in there, some information about this camera there. I make it really large to learn more about that Blackmagic camera, which is a cinema camera. So that was a dream of mine, to be able to teach about film set, 3-point lighting on an object or actors in the metaverse. And now it's really easy to do.
Yeah, if you can think of it, if you can dream it, with this Metaverse Builder, this is so many options. I can put my set together. I can select all of these assets, bring it together. And I like the fact that you showed the camera much larger in towards the set. So that makes things really, it causes the learning experience much richer, where you think about it, you can see, expand it, bring it down in size. So just great learning environments.
Right. And that one is important because that camera, it's a revolutionary camera that's in the price range that students can actually use it. And many of them do use it for, it's about a $6,000 film camera. And those used to be about $40,000 to $100,000. So a common camera, you can learn the menu systems and how it all works right there. And before you get your hands on the real one. So that's what that was about. So any last thoughts about environments? I have so many.
Yeah, we could keep going. So, but yeah, we have the 30 minutes here, and just the different scenarios we presented. Again, from business to architecture, more technical concepts, to presenting, putting scenarios together, and then having your learners partake in this experience, having them put together an environment and talk through the situation, present it back to the educator, the instructor, So there's just so many possibilities for teaching and learning in these environments.
Right. I can think of when I worked in a medical lab and I was learning the safety equipment and the hood and all ways I had to get dressed up and all the ways not to, blow any of the safety things. And we were working with dangerous chemicals. So that can all be simulated really easily in these. And there's a lot of lab environments with all the safety hoods and the yellow place where you put your gloves through. All of that is all in these environments. And so the simulation possibilities are endless, and it's really great for safety, especially with safety. It's good to learn and then assess people before they go into those real life situations.
Yep.
So, and I think the main thing I want to leave with is just how engaging it is. When I started doing this, I also brought in other models like the Batcave and Star Trek or Star Wars, Tatooine and all that, because I'm a sci-fi nut. So just to be able to cast those on my street and run around the Batcave or run around Tatooine is pretty awesome. I've run around many starships from different shows. So those are environments too. And, being a filmmaker, those are, it's kind of amazing and super fun. And I hope, everybody enjoys these environments. And I think it's a giant game changer for transferring knowledge and education.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you enjoyed our webinar here on the EON Metaverse Builder, and look out for additional invites for next week and after that. So we want to keep talking about the things you can do with this application and just the possibilities that exist with this technology.
Okay. So I'm Rita, and that's John, even though the names are a little different today. And we'll see you on the next episode.
All right. Thanks, everyone.